Hey everybody, welcome back. This is lecture 2 on Michael Sandel's The Case Against Perfection. So I'm going to go through chapters 2, 3, and 4 in this lecture, hopefully. My last lecture was cut off. I thought I was pausing and instead I hit stop. So sorry about that. And then it took me another day to get to another lecture because that's just the way life is lately. Anyway, so just picking up where I left off last time, the kind of theme of Sandel's book is that genetic enhancement and genetic engineering threatens or puts under attack or calls into question the value of the giftedness of life. And in chapter 2, he wants to apply this specifically to sports, right? Athletic ideal. How much is the athletic ideal a matter of effort, and how much of it is a matter of gift? And he thinks that the gifted aspect of sports really matters to why we value it, and why well, I should really say, I think that chapter 2 is making a normative and not a descriptive claim. So I don't think he's necessarily making the argument that this is absolutely what we value in sports, which is an empirical claim, and I don't know that he has any data for that, but he's rather making a normative claim, right? So he's trying to argue that insofar as we do value sports, it ought to be for the reasons that I suggest. So if we look at the very beginning of chapter 2, so this is page 25, and I'll just read how he begins the chapter. He writes that one aspect of our humanity that might be threatened by enhancement and genetic engineering is our capacity to act freely for ourselves by our own efforts, and to consider ourselves responsible, that is to say, worthy of praise or blame for the things we do and for the way we are. Right? So it's this connection that he sees, that he rightfully sees, between freedom and responsibility. And it is because we take ourselves to be free and responsible for what we do that we praise and blame what we do. And of course, we all know that in sports, there's a lot of praise and blame going around. It's not moral praise and blame per se, but we all know the difference between when we're happy with how athletes have performed and when we're very unhappy, and when we find their performance praiseworthy or blameworthy. So the way that he argues, so let's look at this is bottom of page 26 and top of page 27. So he has this worry that the more that we enhance athletes, the less likely we are to represent his athletic performance as achievement, as his own achievement. But of course, there's a deeper philosophical worry that he has. So, bottom of page 26. The deeper danger is that they, where they is enhancement and engineering, represent a kind of hyper agency, a Promethean aspiration to remake nature, including human nature, to serve our purposes and satisfy our desires. The problem is not the drift to mechanism, but the drive to mastery. And what the drive to mastery misses, and may even destroy, is an appreciation of the gifted character of human powers and achievements. To acknowledge the giftedness of life is to recognize that our talents and powers are not wholly our own doing, not even fully ours, despite the efforts we expend to develop and to exercise them. It is also to recognize that not everything in the world is open to any use we may desire or devise. An appreciation of the giftedness of life constrains the Promethean project and conduces to a certain humility. It is in part a religious sensibility, but its resonance reaches beyond religion. So that's kind of the deeper issue that he sees. I hope that this calls to mind for you the Cora Diamond reading that we had a few weeks back, the problem of impiety. So in that essay, Cora Diamond is worried about how we can constrain how we think about intervening in nature. But she thinks it's really difficult, right? She thinks that we want to have a sense of something that is sacred or set apart, worthy of awe or reverence, something that is in some sense not for our use. Um, but as a secular person, as an atheist, she has a hard time knowing how to draw the line, right? So she doesn't want to go Hume's route, which she thinks is a kind of utilitarian calculus, right? Well, for any potential intervention that we can imagine, we're just going to run a cost benefits analysis. And so long as the benefits outweigh the costs of doing it, then we should just go ahead. She thinks that that is missing something deep and important, but she has a hard time coming up with a better option. So one thing that I would like you to consider as you're reading and thinking about the Sandel is whether or not he has come up with an option that she did not consider. So she considered about 8 options. I laid them out on the board during my lecture that week. So there's a question: does Sandel have a unique option here, and would it be something that might satisfy Core Diamond? Sandel says um, this appreciation for the giftedness of life, right? He says it's a religious sensibility.